Hi guys, it's Fiverr and welcome back to another episode of Sugar Candy Miniatures. Today we're painting up 8 different Khorne color schemes with a variety of inspirations. This all came about because I drew a tiny Khorne demon, someone in my Discord server named him Colonel, and then I didn't know what colors to color him in, so rather than making a single decision in my life, I decided to paint 8 different Khorne color schemes, and then at the end of this video, there will be a poll or a link to a poll. And you can vote for your favorite one, and then we will paint him that color. And I will color him in and solve the fact that I couldn't make a decision, and rather than choosing, I made a whole video about different ways to paint Khorne demons. So I did go out and get some new paint. We're trying the Golden So Flat paints, which are supposed to be super vibrant and super neon. They are also super expensive, so shout out to my patrons for helping me fund that. I really appreciate it. So for the first 4 color schemes, we once again return to the world of Neopia and Neopets, because so many people commented on my clown video about how they too had fond memories of Neopets, and I really was willing to take any excuse to paint Neopets-inspired color schemes again. We are returning to Dargan Citadel, the place where all edgy Neopets come from, because basically the Khorne color scheme is already kind of a Dargan Citadel colors, except they come in purple and teal and red sometimes, and I'm not doing red because I said I was going to do color schemes that weren't red. So we're starting with the purple one, and for this I base coated in So Flat's Red Violet, and then I gave it a dark wash with like a dark blue wash kind of color. I highlighted with a bit of lilac, picking out all the like little bumps and some of his raised brow and like the prominent standy outy areas. And then, because some of the Neopets have like this cool light blue belly, I painted his belly and like his chest a little bit light blue. I also hit the back of his little feet. And his tongue. His tongue got to be light blue. I picked out his teeth and horns with a bone color. And then I undercoated the parts that were going to be metallic with black. And then I grabbed the nearest metallic that I had, which was copper, which seemed to fit with the whole kind of vibe. And this is it. This is the first color scheme. This is how to paint a Khorne demon like it's a purple Dargan Neopet, and I think it looks pretty sick, honestly. I'm really happy with this one. Also, I did use blood for the blood god for his eyes. That's a quick way of painting really good looking red eyes because they have a little bit of shine. Continuing with my bout of indecision, I also wanted to try out the teal Dargan color scheme, so I base coated in this cyan color by Golden So Flat. It's really vibrant. I like it a lot. And I did the light blue underbelly thing once again, because that also works. But then instead of like picking out the prominent areas with violet, I wanted to hit all the bumps with like a gray color, because that's what you see on the Neopets, and that's what we're doing. Picked out his teeth, got his eyes, pretty much the same process. I painted the sword. I wanted to do, there's like a dark fairy that has purple metallics and stuff. It's Neopets, guys. Just roll with the magic system here. It's a purple metallic paint. It looks really good over a dark undercoat. And honestly, I really dig the teal version too. Between the two of them, I could not tell you which one my favorite was. I think they both look sick. So this is probably the most iconic. Like, when I think this is a Neopet, this is the color that I think, because the paintbrush was super cheap, so I could actually buy it and paint my Neopets this color. It was just enough, like, I had to save the Neo points for it, but it also wasn't prohibitively expensive. It's the Starry paintbrush, so you start by just getting a really vivid blue. This isn't Golden So Flat. I kind of wanted to see what a vivid army painter paint would look like against the super pigmented new fancy paints that everybody loves, and army painter's like the cheapest one. So I used like one of their really saturated blues, and it's exactly the Neopets color I was looking for. And then I did paint a couple of stars all over it. Stars are basically just blobs. Like, if I'm going to paint an entire Khorne demon to be starry Neopets, we are not taking the time to paint perfect stars on the tiny ones. I just have to be realistic about that. His tongue and horns also got to be bright yellow. I did use the golden so flat yellow for this just because it's so freaking vibrant. There was no reason not to. And I did paint his eyes off screen, but I tried to make them look more cartoony than I usually do eyes. For this one, I didn't want to kind of erase that sort of flat comic book look that he had, so I only shaded in select areas. And I just painted the sword gray because I thought it was just kind of like, it was super generic and I wanted it to look like a cheap, plasticky kind of sword, because that's about the Battle Dome gear that your Neopet can afford if it's painted Starry. I'm sorry, it's just the truth. And the last and most obvious Neopet color that I feel like I would take inspiration from is chocolate. There's a candy, like, chocolate paintbrush. Well, it's not a paintbrush. You have to go to the stupid lab ray thing on Neopets 4. This is a lot of Neopets lore. But your pet can be chocolate. You just have to go through an archaic, arcane ritual. I have a specific ritual for painting chocolate where it doesn't end up looking like dirt, because it's very difficult to make sure that people read it as chocolate and not something else. It starts with a base coat of Mornfang Brown, and then you give it a wash of Seraphim Sepia, which I was almost out of, and then I was going to dry brush it with Scrag Brown, or Scrag? I think Skag is Borderlands, Scrag is Warhammer. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Anyway, I was out. I tried to dry brush with my bottle that I already had, but I had left the cap open or something and it dried up. And so I went and I got a new one. And those are clearly two very different, like, they're not the same color. Okay, there's a difference there. And I had to hope for the best, honestly, because I didn't know how that was going to turn out. It looked too terracotta to me in the bottle. But I ended up dry brushing it on the model, and it was fine. So then I base coated on white for the horns, because I was going to do some candy cane stripes. And I base coated a tan color on the claws, which were later going to have waffle cone pattern on them. An important step in painting candy cane is to make sure that you only paint one stripe on camera and paint the rest of it off camera. I'm just going to blame my adorable cat for some technical difficulties. So pretend that this footage of Achilles is actually footage of me painting red stripes over and over again. I did get footage of how to do the waffle cone pattern. It's basically just painting diagonal stripes one way and then crossing them the other way, but you do that really small and like a million times and it takes forever. And that's the chocolate Khorne Demon Neopets paintbrush version. Oh look, here comes Achilles to remind me to thank our top tier patrons. Paul No and Annie Green Gable, you guys are wonderful, and thank you so much for all of your support. I really value and appreciate it. If you'd like to support me, you can do so at patreon.com/sugarcandyminiatures. There's also a link in the description. For the next color scheme, I decided that everybody was going to tell me to paint corn demons to look like actual corn, like the vegetable. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty obvious. I had to do something. A lot of people said candy corn. I'm sure a lot of people in the comments will also say I should have done one like candy corn. I don't like candy corn. It tastes gross and the texture's bad. So instead I decided to do popcorn, which is universally loved and adored. I base coated with the bright yellow that I had from Golden So Flat, and then gave it a Reikland Flesh Shade wash, which made it the perfect kind of kettle-cooked popcorn look. But it wasn't, I just wanted this demon to look dumber. So I decided to paint, like, basically, if you look at things the way I do, which no human has ever done before, it does look like the corn demons are wearing little unitards for their little war gymnastics that they have to do. So I basically blocked out the corn demon so that it looked like he was wearing one, and I was gonna paint it striped like a popcorn bag. So you just kind of paint his legs and his chest and his some of his back around his like weird back nubs, and then don't paint the arms because it's sleeveless. And yeah, just like, it's hard to describe, but you're seeing what it looks like on the screen, which is a much clearer picture. But yeah, it kind of just looks like he has a popcorn bag unitard on now, which is exactly what we're going for. And then you just take some red paint and you start painting stripes down it, and it'll look kind of like a popcorn bag. I also painted his claws, like one was alternating white and red, and I put stripes on his horns, which didn't turn out super great, but they were acceptable. For the sword, I just slapped on some copper there, trying to just make the metallics pretty universal so that it's objective in deciding which one is the best Khorne demon paint job as opposed to which one has the best metallics. But yeah, there you go. I painted a Khorne demon to look like something like actual Khorne the vegetable, so I feel like achievement unlocked there. Moving on down the line, I wanted to do a Gatorade-inspired color scheme because that's just... I mean, I had lime green. I didn't know what else. I've already done key lime pie with my Tau. I had to try something new, so we painted him this very vibrant green, and then I went with an equally vibrant orange for his horns, his claws, his little bump accessories, and the sword as well, to give him kind of like the look of the little like orange Gatorade bottle lid. I painted some striations on his horns in like a yellowy kind of color so that I would sort of evoke that. I think he kind of just looks like he fell into a void of Nickelodeon slime, but that's okay. That's kind of a mood there as well. I used a yellow to separate some of the areas because everything was super vibrant and it didn't necessarily read perfectly. I didn't want to shade it and dull how vibrant everything is, but this way it gave it kind of like a lemon lime look, which is my preferred flavor of Gatorade. For color scheme number 7, I wanted to do a birthday cake color scheme, which is an idea I had in my head for a while. So I started with this kind of pale yellow base coat, and then I gave it a brown wash to try and get that sort of vanilla cake look. I think the brown made it a bit too brown, so I did a lot of highlighting with the original color to bring that back at its sort of cakey vibrancy. For the accent color, I went with blues. I just thought it would provide a nice contrast with the yellow, and blue frosting is pretty common on birthday cakes. For some areas, I mixed a little bit of white in with the blue so we could have some tonal variation. And just kind of picked out areas that I thought could be little iced details. For a bit of interest, I did add stripes. I've been adding stripes on everything. I think that making his horn striped, I wanted them to look like birthday candles so bad, but they just kind of look like those things that the Star Wars creatures have. I'll throw up a picture on the screen. Someone's gonna tell me what they are. I don't know the Star Wars term. I'm so sorry. I also did try to make his sword look like a birthday cake candle, but it just kind of doesn't look like anything in particular. I'm not super proud of how this one turned out. A lot of people will say that they love how everything turned out, but I don't. I think this one it could have been done better, if I'm honest. And for the last color scheme, I did the pretty much exact same paint job and steps as I did on my Zote that I painted to look like a frosted animal cracker, except I used the So Flat Pink as a base coat. And I will go ahead and put a link to that video in the description so you can check it out. As far as my thoughts on the So Flat paints go, they're gonna become a regular part of my painting process because I like bright, dumb colors and bright, dumb color schemes, and they are perfect for that. But here they are, 8 Khorne color schemes that aren't red. I hope there's at least one in the bunch that you liked or found something useful with. I will have a poll up on my community tab where you can vote for your favorite, or you can just let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for watching this video, and I will catch you in the next one.